So in this video, we're going to go through something called PCSAS standards. Lizzy by default actually has accounting set up per individual manufacturer. What this means is that when I go look up Honda, for example, I'm going to have a sales, a cost of goods, and an inventory account for that particular vendor. And whenever I sell product for that vendor, it's going to be hitting the general ledger in that respect. Um, Now, with the PCSAS standards, what happens instead is sales are tracked via the counter, service, sales, and internal and warranty. So we can actually see exactly where the parts are being sold through instead of looking at a particular vendor. Now, in all fairness, these standards were developed by individual manufacturers, which means that they were really more interested in where their parts were being sold via these processes than they were the dealership. So when you track things in this manner, what ends up happening is you lose sight of the individual manufacturers and you start just tracking sales purely based on whether they were sold through parts, service, or sales. So Lizzy has the ability to plug in processes like this. And in this video, we're going to go through how to do this. But it's important that you understand what you're losing when you go this route. You start to lose sight of the individual vendors. Now, Lizzy actually has a process, a new process that we'll be releasing here next week that actually allows you to not only track it by sales, service, and parts, but also by individual manufacturers if you want to. And so we're going to cover how to do that. Now, to get started, what we're going to do is we're going to go up here to service, I'm sorry, to settings, and we're going to go to parts and then PCSAS defaults. Now, there's a couple things to understand about this control. The first thing is when you first start using it, you're going to have a select vendor here that's going to be set to all. Now, what all is a fallback so that if you haven't specified a specific vendor setting, then it's going to fall back and use the all setting. So whatever accounts you set up for that, that's what it's going to fall back and use. Now, the other thing to understand is we have a list of categories here. So we've got a list of master categories. These categories are the ones that the manufacturer has specified that they want to see. So in this example, we have accessories, apparel, parts, tires, and uncategorized. Now, in your dealership or in your business, you may have categorized things completely differently. You may have gone in and said that you want to have not only apparel, but you want to have gloves, boots, and other things. But to the manufacturer, all of these things fit into apparel. And so what happens is if I pick accessories, forget this information here at the top for just a moment, you're going to have a list of categories that fit in. So these are your Lizzy categories here at the bottom right. What we're doing is we're saying that for accessories, it's going to fit these categories into that heading. And so you can create as many of these different things that you want up here, and you're going to link them to the items that are down here in the bottom. The thing to understand here is that when we get to this next step, which we're about to start talking about for adding additional vendors, they don't change this top left and this bottom right. Those are set globally for all of your manufacturers. So you can't specify that you want one vendor boots to go into one category in one manufacturer and then a different category for a different manufacturer. They're global and they actually have to do with the entire process for that vendor. So what we're going to be doing is once we've done that, so basically what we do is we get our accessory, we'll get a list of these accessories for Lizzy and then are the categories, and we're going to link them to these. So if I go to apparel, then I'm going to come in here and say that this is going to be apparel, body, collectibles, whatever it is that we want to show up in apparels, accessories. Right now we've got batteries and chemical associated with accessories, parts. We can go through and select everything that we want to have in the parts department or the parts category and so forth. Now, once we get that set up, the next step is going to be assigning accounts to those particular categories. So what's going to happen is we're defining new sales and cost of goods accounts to get used if you sell a part that is associated with an accessory master category, and we're going to put them, instead of putting it in the vendor specific accounts, we're going to put it in these accounts for the sales and cost of goods. Inventory is completely unrelated to this, so we won't really get into that. And it is still defined by the manufacturer record. But the other thing that I could do is, let's say, for example, that Honda comes in and they say, look, we want to see a chart of accounts or profit and loss based on sales across the counter and across, whatever sections that we want, counter, service, sales. But we want to see our stuff specifically listed on the chart of accounts. And if you carry other vendors, that's fine, but we want you to map all of those vendors into an other category. We don't want to see their stuff mixed in with our stuff. And so to deal with that, what we're going to do is we're going to come over here to this add vendor section. This is going to give me a list of every manufacturer that we have in our system. We're going to choose the one that we want to add. So let's say we go up here to American Honda. And so I want to add a specific set of accounts specifically for that manufacturer. So I'm going to select the plus sign to add it to the list. And now over here on the left, we have American Honda. And so we're going to now choose American Honda. And the one thing that I want to point out here is that you'll notice the categories here and the categories down here are not changing with these selections. They're set globally for every single manufacturer. But now you see that I have a list. So if I go to accessories, you can see there's no accounts defined for that accessory category. And we still have our categories mapped, but we need these specific vendor accounts for this particular thing. So what we want is a set of accounts for Honda. So we're looking at American Honda. We want a set of accounts for Honda for counter, internet, serialized, service, rental, and warranty. So to get that, we can click this little wizard hat here, and what will happen is Lizzy will actually go out and create a new set of accounts for all accessories being sold over these different departments for American Honda. So all I've got to do is go through and click the wizard hats for each of the different accounts, and it'll it'll create the accounts for me and map everything in one click. So it's very, very easy to set this up and get it to operate exactly the way you want it to work. Right now, you'll notice if I go to apparel, there's still no accounts for that particular vendor. If I come up here and we go back to all, you'll notice all the hats disappear because all of the categories have already been mapped to accounts for the global selection. So it's fairly trivial to go through here and set this up any way you want it to get set. The next step is that in order for the vendor to actually use this process, we need to actually go over here to contacts, and we're going to locate American Honda. So we'll go down here to American Honda, and we're going to go to the manufacturer selection here in the contact types. And then you'll notice down here are our parts. So right now, Honda is set to use one account for everything that's getting sold for sales and cost of goods. Again, inventory is not related here. But you'll notice up here at the top of this selection, it says use PCSAS Standards. So we're going to select this box, and that's it. As soon as you select the box, you're just going to close this control. And now Honda is going to be using all of the stuff that we just got through setting up over in settings for all of your part sales. So again, the first step is to actually go to settings, set up your defaults the way you want them set up, and then come over and tell it which manufacturers you want to be using those particular defaults. What will happen is the system is going to go out and try to find the specific manufacturer that you're looking for to see if that manufacturer is actually using or has a specific set of PCSAS standards. If it does, it will use it. If it does not, it will fall back and use the all selection that you had set up earlier.